is this place? Where am I?
Heaven, friend. Or as close as we'll see till Judgment Day.
What is Columbia if not another ark? For another time.
He's the amazing handyman! Only Colombian ingenuity could create such.
Just a whisper.
The Lord forgives everything, but I'm just a prophet, so I don't have to.
I come to get you out of here.
What am I? What am I?
DX11 has made a huge difference in BioShock Infinite. I think the biggest difference you'll notice is when you're walking around and taking in the world of Columbia, just the way that shadows and light are processed. I think that specifically you look at the way that, in sort of layman's terms, when you look at the way shadows are created, a lot of times in a lot of games what you have is you have this really sort of harsh line with the shadow, whereas the technology we have with DX11, you've basically at contact at the source of the shadow, it gets really, really sharp, and then it fades off into a nice, blurred, more realistic shadow. So there's little touches like that that make it just a lot crisper and a lot, I think, more naturalistic. That's very important for a game that takes place in the sky. You want to make sure you have realistic lighting. So that's the biggest difference right there. And it was, we completely rewrote the lighting. It was right around the time of our first demo that we released, the first video. We were evaluating the lighting, and Steve Anachini, one of our tech leads, was confident that we could get a better lighting solution. If you look at what we were able to do, it was a much less costly solution, so for performance it was better, but you also get much better bounce lighting. You get much more, I mean, we're talking about, generally speaking, most of the lighting in BioShock Infinite is from one source. You don't get the sun, right? And that's something that's very new for a BioShock game. So right from the get-go, we knew it was going to be different. But just in terms of, again, creating the right types of shadows, the right kind of bounce lighting, and the right fill lights and all of that, that was very, very tricky. You're working with the folks at AMD to get the most bang for our buck on the DX11 stuff. In terms of how difficult it was, they were working, we had an internal team working pretty much throughout development to get the most out of the PC. Which obviously is great. You want to build this stuff in-house while you're developing on all platforms. So you can specifically optimize all of your code, all of your tech, all of your graphic stuff, while you're sort of developing you're finding your feet with the levels and finding your feet with the content, because that stuff's always changing, right? Your content is always going to be changing. So trying to find the tech that's going to match best with the needs of what's going on with the content. So it's difficult to pinpoint exactly how long, how much time was spent, but I mean throughout all of development, it was a team dedicated. To say developing Elizabeth was a monumental task, I think would be an understatement. Going in, you always hear about doing a companion character is a huge challenge, and we knew that. Again, we knew that going in, but just the goal that we had, the level of fidelity, the goal to create a character that you can really empathize with, that you really essentially could fall in love with, that you believe in, and just to capture the level of fidelity to hit that goal was an enormous challenge. I mean, you think about just keeping up with the way the player is going to behave. That's a challenge in itself. If the player is going to jump around, or if he's going to move around in sporadic ways, she has to at least react in a natural way. That's one thing. But then on top of that, like when she has her, an emotional moment or a reaction to something that's going on in the world, just having her be able to shift moods and shift behaviors and shift the look on her face, and again, change her posture where she's sad and she'll kind of slump over a little bit, and things like that. And then to get her eyes right and to get the emotion captured right in the eyes and where she's focusing correctly, because you think about the subtlety that's there. The shifting that happens with your pupils. You think about, if you stare too long, it gets creepy. You start falling into the uncanny valley. So all these different pieces you don't think about, but as you're going along, you're like, something's wrong. She doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel natural. And you start exploring ways to solve those things, and you just put a really smart team on it, and you have them plug away it as long as possible, and eventually you start to get something that feels again more natural. We had a dedicated team, as I said before, a dedicated team internally to making sure that it was fully optimized for the best PC experience. Being able to focus on things that like giving an FOV slider, and making sure that we address issues that people had with BioShock 1, and making sure that the mouse feels right, and that we're actually taking the native inputs directly from the mouse from Windows directly, and so any sort of scaling or anything like that we have options for, and that's really one of the core goals, is making sure that we give PC gamers and gamers in general the options to play the way they want. I mean, that's really a core goal. Is about, you know, a BioShock game is about choice, and so giving players the not only the ability to choose how they approach gameplay, but how they set the game up. So, you know, little things like being able to choose from you know, windowed full screen or windowed full screen, where you can actually, it's like running in full screen in windowed mode, but you know, you can tab around with almost like it was in windowed mode. So little things like that, I think, make it a much richer experience on the PC, and I think that when PC gamers check it out, I think they'll be very pleased with what they see.
Little